So last time on our video, we talked about how to convert a fraction into a decimal. Today, we're going to look at the reverse. We're going to go decimal into fraction. We're going to reverse the process. Now, there are two types of decimals that we deal with. There's terminating decimals and there's repeating decimals. Let's talk about a terminating decimal, like something like 0.45. You know, when I say 0.45, I'm actually not saying that properly. That's really a bad way of saying it. I should read the decimal properly. Read the decimal properly. Because when you read 0.45 properly, it's going to sound just like a fraction. 0.45 is actually 45 hundredths. So that's really 45 hundredths. So if you read it properly, it actually sounds like a fraction. Then all I have to do, that's step one, then all you have to do is step two, which is reduce if at all possible. So let's see. Can 45 hundredths be reduced? Yeah, 5 can go into both 45 and 100, which brings me to 9 twentieths. So 0.45 is the same as 9 twentieths, which is why a terminating decimal is a rational number. All right, you try this one. 0.135. Can you make that into a fraction? Pause the video and try that on your own. If you did it right, you would have started by writing 135 over 1,000, because that is 135 thousandths. And then you would have reduced that by saying 5 goes into both of those, 27 200ths. How many of you got 27 200ths? Good. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at what if it's not a terminating decimal. What if I have something like 0.5 repeated? This is not a terminating decimal. This is a repeating decimal. So this is 0.5555, and so on and so on and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this terminating decimal, or this repeating decimal equal x. Now, watch this little trick I'm going to do. I want to multiply both the x and the 0.555555 by a number so that the repeated decimal becomes a whole number and the same repeated decimal. So let's think about what I can multiply that by. And the easiest thing to multiply it by is by a power of 10. Well, let's start with the number 10. Whenever you multiply something by 10, it just moves the decimal over one decimal place. So in that case, I would end up getting 5.5555 and so on and so on. And since I did it on one side, I better do the other side. So 10x, or 10 times whatever x is 5.5555, so on, so on, so on, so on, so on. Now, watch this cool little trick. I'm going to take these two equations, and I'm going to subtract these two equations. So if I take 10x, and I take away an x, what do I get? No, I don't get 10. Think of it this way. 10x means I have 10 x's. If I have 10 x's and I take one x away, what am I left with? There you go. I'm left with 9x. When I do it on the other side of the equations, and I have the 5.55555 and 0.55555, 5 minus 5 is 0. 0, 0, 0. So all I'm left with is 5. Well, now I have 9x equals 5. And the best thing to do here, just divide both sides by the number next to x, which is the 9, so that those cancel out. The 9's cancel out because there's one on top, one on the bottom, which leaves me with the x, which is what my original number was equal to. But now it's equal to a fraction. X equals 5/9. Okay, so the last question we want to work on and look at is if I give you 0.47. What do we do in this case? Here, we let x equal, and we see, oops, it should be 0.47 repeated. So it would be 0.474747, and so on and so on. Multiplying by 10 would only give me 4.7474, which is not the same repeated decimal. But if I do it twice, which would be the same as multiplying by 100, I would get 47.474747. Now I do my subtraction. 100x minus x, 99x. These all cancel because they all subtract to 0, and I get my 47. Divide both sides by 99, so I get x equals 47/99. To get some practice, what I'd like you to do is in your textbook, go to page 10, and I would like you to do questions number 5 and 6. Do them in your spiral notebook right underneath your notes, and we're going to check them in class the next time I see you. Thank you, and I will see you next time.